DoD is one of the biggest sources of innovation in the United States, and it has been since the early part of the Cold War. It's referred to in Silicon Valley and in Washington, D.C. as the mother of all venture capital firms. And it's free money in the sense it comes with very little strings. Most of the companies that receive money like this, whether they're R&D establishments, small companies, or whatever, they own the technology when they get done with it. The DoD and the intelligence community looked at themselves in the late 90s and said, we just don't have it in-house, but we need to innovate. This actually happens before 9/11, but it accelerates after 9/11. And so they're leveraging other people's innovations, namely Silicon Valley, and then they build their own in the Northern Virginia corridor. The locus of innovation in the United States, in a relative sense, has shifted to small and medium-sized enterprises of a kind that there's thousands of these in Northern Virginia and spread over the country. It's very unlikely you would have heard of them, and they're not in the business of advertising what they do. But they built this second Silicon Valley. There's new patterns of innovation, not just the products, the weapons, but the services, processes, and missions. If history is any guide, the idea that some people sit in a room and devise like very high-level strategies that direct all of this thing is not usually what happens. What happens is that the technology races ahead, and over 10 or 15 years, people develop theories of, say, escalation control, deterrence, containment. They can operationalize it. It doesn't spring from on high. It's very standard for the technology to race ahead of the strategy, and that seems to me very much to be what's happening here. There's a whole literature in this field that the US really has an industrial policy, but it's disguised as a national defense policy to inject money, and it has worked like really well since World War II. And I don't doubt that that exists. I don't think it's the primary purpose of this thing, this innovation, but it nonetheless is a consequence of it. There's a different argument that there's waves of unstoppable innovation that other countries are going to embrace, and you can either embrace it well or poorly, or you can pervert it for evil uses in the extreme case. With the multipolarity building up in the world today, there is a real danger that some of these technologies will be perverted. I mean, I don't see how you could look at this talk and not really get into some frightening scenarios as dynamics and possibilities. The NSA spying program, which has been revealed in past few years, particularly by Mr. Snowden, clearly creates a lot of concerns about personal privacy and all kinds of issues. Having said that, if you look at how NSA pulled this technological conquest off, they did this by not working through big contractors. They set up a management system which could deal directly with lots of small companies. And this paid off very handsomely using the metrics of NSA, let's say. I mean, they really can listen in to what they want to listen into. And I think there's a real that is one of the managerial lessons that needs to be understood by the people in these big institutions. Other agencies, I can think of the CIA, seems to prefer dealing with large contractors for all kinds of reasons. The Department of Defense has very little data on second and third tier of the defense industrial base, if you can call this an industrial base, because they basically, their view is to give the money to Lockheed and say, you worry about the second and third tiers. What has not seemed to have worked is to go like to in-house Navy, Army, Air Force laboratories and have technical experts. These people fell badly behind the curve in the technological revolution of the 2000s, and even in the late 1990s. There's all kinds of things that they missed. They were very late to realize the importance of cellular telephone systems, for example. But these smaller companies have got to survive, so it's a very interesting way to do environmental scanning. That's also why I don't think it's going to disappear.